Is there a shop? There's a shop. We might have to get some water from some of them as well. I don't know.
Was there a shop?
I think the shop is up there.
Yes.
Good morning. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Explosions were heard across the city from early this morning.
We arrived on this long road. I did not recognise the road we were on from where we drove in. I didn't recognise the road, so I think we took a wrong turn somewhere. And it was a long road which went up a hill towards the border, and there was a queue of cars, probably I'd say about a quarter of a mile long, something like that. And there were refugees at the side of the road, people getting out of buses, getting off of coaches, people getting out of the cars, getting bags out, and instantly we thought, what the, yeah. This kind of hit home that we are now in a refugee crisis. So we got the full package.
2 days ago, and here was such only a little of stuff. Yeah, we could go where we want, and now it's full. The whole tents are full. We don't know where to go with all these gifts from all of Europe, and it's fantastic.
On board one coach, we met Elena, heading to central Poland. She lived near Kherson, which is now in the hands of Russian troops. We just had to leave our house, she says, when we heard the air raid siren. Every day, the situation is getting worse and worse. Vladislav has volunteered to drive this family the hundreds of miles to Krakow, them and their important possessions. He told me his own personal history meant he had to offer help.
I'm from Auschwitz, for Holocaust place. My old family is in second war in camp.
And it feels like history.
Yeah, very big
again.
history. So second war, my old family was in concentration camp. Now, I'm seeing me is very not good. I'm very my head kaput.
I instantly got an e-message saying welcome to Ukraine. My phone didn't work over there whatsoever, no data, nothing, so I would have to apply for a data package, which I did in the end. I had to, and we had no communication. Signal was bad. I couldn't contact the team, let them know, because we've gone down a wrong road practically. There's two sides of the border. There's the cargo side and there's the civilian side of the border checkpoint, so we went down the wrong one. We queued up in this traffic. The heat started to build up. It was getting warmer, the sun was coming out, and we just froze for a minute, tried to take in what we're doing, see what was going on before we made a move. And we realised we are not refugees, we're not processing. We wanted them to understand that we're humanitarian workers, and would they allow us access to get straight out. But when you're in that queue, it doesn't matter who you are, you're a human being, and they all get treated the same, so you queue it. That's basically what you're doing. We switched the engine off in the van, and Becky saw this aid worker walking down, a woman, she looked like a Red Cross aid worker, walking down. She was handing something to the people in the cars. Becky got out, ran up towards her and instantly asked her for some help, and she doesn't speak English, and luckily she was Austrian. The woman said, she understands what we're doing, so you need to get to the front basically and tell the guards what you're doing, maybe they can help us through, because she had no authority. She then ran up the road. She told me she needs to speak to the guards, and then she took off up the road. So all I could say to her was, do not go out of my sight, do not go out of my sight, stay at the top of that hill where I can see you. I got back in the van, fired up the engine. I was sweating by this point. It got me worried because I'm responsible for her and I couldn't stop her running off, and I just didn't want her to disappear anywhere. What did she do when she got to the top of the hill? She instantly disappeared. She went down the other side of the hill where I couldn't see her. So I tried phoning her. I got some credit on my phone. I tried phoning her, but there was no answer, and I didn't know where she was. Then people were starting to get out of the cars now, abandoning their cars at the side of the road. That's what it looked like. So things were picking up pretty bad. I looked behind me in the mirror, and don't know where it came from, but there must have been a mile or 2 miles of traffic just built up behind me, and people walking up towards this border crossing. There was so many people, and I thought this is going to get bad pretty quick. I need to get her. So the thing is, if you lose your place in the queue, you go to the back. There's no way about it. You don't have any authority. She came back up the hill, walked towards the van. My heart stopped beating. I just had a sigh of relief. She got back inside and said, you basically need to get to the other side, get down there, see that guard. So what did I do? I dumped that throttle down, pulled out on the other side of the road, and I motored up that hill. There was cars coming the opposite way towards me. I was dodging people, I had my hazard lights on. I was going up that hill and going past everybody. Luckily we had aid stickers on our van, which hopefully gave us a slight advantage. We pulled up to this guard. The guard approached us, approached the van window, the passenger side, and he didn't speak a word of English, but Becky tried to explain to him who we were, what we're doing there. Humanitarian, that's what we're doing. We're leaving to collect supplies, stuff like that. The guard let us through straight away. He wrote some paper, he let us through, gave us this slip. It's like a reverse process of the customs office. He gave us this slip and then handed it to us. We drove through, which was a massive sigh of relief, so it was a good thing we did that. We then faced another queue of people, which was not as long as the first one, but they had the engines off or sat outside the vans and cars, and there were more refugees flooding in. The problem was people on foot were getting past, but vehicles weren't. If you're in a vehicle, it's slower. So by that time, Becky went to the office, the passport office. She walked down there and spoke to another guard, and she could communicate with them somehow, I don't know. She spoke to another guard, and he told her it could be 2 hours, 4 hours, we don't know. There's that many people to process through there.
Right, video message, we're just at the border and we're in a queue to get out. So Becky's just in front of me now doing the paperwork side of it. There's refugees making their way out here, quite a lot of them still. There's people coming in. The weather's actually quite hot today, but we're shattered. We hardly got any sleep last night. So I'm just waiting for Becky to get back now. I'll show you I'll show you what's in front.
Right, so you've just got to wait in this queue now. You can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait here. These are refugees making their way out. There's still people coming out. The border's only there, so we've not got far to go. These people, this is all they've got with them. Is there a shop? There's a shop. We might have to get some water from some of them as well. I don't know.
Was there a shop?
I think there's a shop. It's up there.
Yes.
Just right there, as the video ends, you see a man walk past the van, and he says, "Excuse me, do you speak English?"
Up there.
Yes.
Now, what I'm about to tell you is, this guy was in the right place at the right time, and he was lucky. He was very lucky. We noticed him. I noticed him walking past. I kept checking my mirror, and he looked the worst out of most of these people. He looked like he'd been travelling for weeks and months. He walked past the van, and I noticed him straight away. He looked like something from Walking Dead movie. He actually looked like something from that, a zombie. His hair was everywhere, and his clothes were torn. I stopped recording at that point. I wish I kept recording, but I just felt rude storming out of the van, pointing a camera in someone's face. Really didn't, and the guys didn't want you filming anything around that area anyway. He said to us very politely, with a dry throat, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" And Becky turned round to him and said, "Yes, we are English." He said to us, his face lit up. He had literally, he had no life in his face. He had that dead stare, like shock had just taken over his soul. He had a cat in a bag, and he had another shopping bag with God knows what in there. His clothes were torn, his shoes were worn out, he was just covered in dust, his hair was everywhere, his face was, you could see his cheekbones, he was sunken with weight loss. And he had, so his face was sunburnt, his nose was red, his skin was red with sunburn, and he had dry eyes. This guy's life had gone. But when he heard us say we were English and we were at that border, his face just lit up. I saw life breathe through his face. You could literally see blood going to his veins, colour emerging in his face. He did, and I knew we got a little bit of a job on by that point. This guy said he's from Canada. He was from Canada. He's Canadian, and he's an English teacher. He's been over there for, well, since 2014. He told us his name. We exchanged names and gossip. He said to us he doesn't know where he is. He's trying to get to Poland. He has been travelling for days or weeks, and he's not heard the English language spoken for a long time, and he was so overwhelmed to speak English again. He didn't know where he was. We told him he is at the Slovakian border, the other side. He looked down at that point. He looked very upset because he's come on a long journey, and he said to us, "Are the Slovakians allowing people across? What are they like?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. Everyone gets across. The Slovakians have the Red Cross right over that other side. You can get a wash there. They will feed you, clothe you, make sure you're okay, safe, and get you on your way on a coach." So then his face just lit up again and knew that he was in a safe place. He told us that he needed to get to a bank. He just needs to get on the internet so he could transfer money to his account. He's got money, but he can't access money over there in Ukraine. I asked him, "Can you phone anybody? Do you have any people you can phone to help you?" Because at that point, he understood that we couldn't take him through. We weren't allowed to take people through, and we didn't have seats in our van. But I wanted to. The desperation in a human being's eyes, when he stared straight through me and gripped the back of my head with his stare, because he wanted help. He was basically saying, "Please, I've come this far. Can you help me in any way?" And he wanted help, but I wanted to help him. I knew that. I thought, we're in a bit of a predicament here because we want to get out, but I could not go out without helping this guy. We couldn't do that. We had to do it, and we instantly took responsibility for him. So I asked him, does he have a phone, a mobile phone, so he can call people, because he could use our phones to call people. I just put £45 on my data so I can use it. And he said he's got money in his account, he just can't access it because his phone's dead, his battery's been dead for days, he doesn't have a charge, he's got nowhere to charge his phone. So we told him that he can charge his phone in our van, but unfortunately his phone had a different phone charger to ours. It was an older type Android phone. So I did not have a charger cable for that, ours were different. So he looked down again. I quickly realised that the charger cable for my controller on my drone was the exact same cable as his, and I had a spare one. So I got that cable out to charge his phone in my van. But then I remembered I packed something I've not used. I packed one of those mobile USB charger power pack. You can get that. You charge it up basically, plug your phone into it, and it'll boost your phone for you. I had one of those, and I got that out, connected his phone to it, and instantly it came on. It was charging. It got to 4%, and he heard the sound of his phone charging. And he said, and his face lit up. He knew then that he's on with the winner, is saved. And he said to us, he's not heard that sound of his phone charge for days. He can't remember the last time he heard it. And we saw magic happening with his face. Told him he can keep it. He didn't want to keep it. I said, you can keep that. We don't need it. You need it more than us. We can charge our phones in our vans. He wished he could give us some money or something for it, but he had nothing. I said, we don't want nothing for this. You can keep that. I then went into the bag and got him a Euro adapter plug and our USB plug adapter. I built him a charger, so if he got to a power supply anywhere, he could plug his phone into the wall and charge it quicker, and he could also charge his battery booster, so that will save him. His phone came on, and he said to us, that's all I need. He can now get out of this country, get some money transferred to a bank, and he can get himself to Warsaw. The only thing was, we didn't take his number, and I wanted to take his number. I don't know why I didn't. It's a big regret. I wish I took his number down so I could call him, because if we got out, I would like to call this guy to make sure he was okay. Cause I would have just said, get in the back of the van, shut the door, we'll drive you to Poland, but we couldn't find him once we got out. The guy went on his way, and we stayed in the van thinking about what are we going to do. Are we going to sit here until darkness? I don't know. We did not want to go back down that road into further Ukraine. We sat there, and we got in contact with the team finally. I was back at the refugee centre. We tried to get them to come out to us. They told us that we were in the wrong place. I sent them a photo, and we're in the wrong place. We should be on the cargo side, which is possibly you're more chances of getting out there quicker than you are here. There's no people there. I looked for it on the maps trying to find where it was. We couldn't, so the decision was made to fire that van up, turn it around, go back towards that guard and ask someone directions to this cargo side. That queue was massive when we turned around, and I thought, if this fails, we are literally at the back of this queue, and we could be stuck here for ages. I really could. We talked to the guard, the Ukrainian guard. He was a soldier. Becky talked to me, approached the window. He was looking quite confused as to why we were turning round and coming back in. I explained to him this cargo side. I tried to look for it on the maps. It took time. It took his time. He couldn't speak English, and he couldn't get any translation done. But every time you meet the Ukrainians, I just envy him so much. And this guard, he went out of his way just to help us. He didn't let anybody through that gate. He shut that gate down, didn't let anybody through. And he stood there, slung the rifle back on his shoulder, put the fag in the side of his mouth, and he got his phone out, and he was scrolling on his phone on maps, trying to find where we needed to get to, and he even handed me his phone for me to point where I needed to get to, because my phone was just hit and miss, it wasn't working. I found this cargo side. I recognised the roads from where we came in, and I showed this to him. And he could have any time just told us to leave him alone. He made sure, even though he couldn't speak English, he made sure he knew where we were going. I pointed on the map to where we were going, to this cargo side, and he directed us the best he could. He pointed, he said down, left, and showed us where to go. And he made me repeat what we said to show him that we knew where we were going. And I instantly remembered the roads from when we came in. It was obviously in the daylight, but I remembered the route. I thought, I can remember this long dual carriageway. And we saw in the distance just some trucks. It wasn't actually a long drive, by the way, only a few minutes, but we saw some trucks parked to the side of the road in the distance, and I approached those trucks and turned left, and I saw the border guard there, and it was empty. There was just one van at the gate. There's one van at the gate, and we pulled up behind this van. Becky jumped out as a hero. She did again. She was the negotiator. It was better a woman approaching one of these guys than a man, really. She jumped out and she approached this soldier and spoke to him. He didn't like the fact that we didn't speak Ukraine. He didn't see the van. I pulled up behind somebody else at this point. He told her, "You come to Ukraine, you speak Ukraine." And Becky tried to apologise to him for offending him for that matter, but he wasn't aggressive anyway. He just wanted to speak Ukrainian. I think he was a little bit sick and tired of trying to communicate with so many different languages, people coming through there. It may have annoyed him a little bit, but he told us basically, he spoke English, by the way. He told us basically to stay in line. You just stay here. When it's clear to go through, you'll go through. He doesn't know how long it could be, because the customs are checking vehicles, and when they're checking trucks, it's a long way. It's a long way. Basically, these truck drivers will pull up at that border, and they may sleep there for the night. It was getting so hot. I was so hot. Temperature in the van. We turned the engine off by this point. Got the windows down. I had to open the doors. It was early in the afternoon, and the heat it was incredible by that point. We did not expect it. I started to dehydrate pretty quickly, and I thought to myself, we need to get water, but we cannot leave this spot. We need to get water fast, because in another hour, who knows how bad things can get. I went round to the cargo side of the van to open the van up, and it was empty. The van was empty. We emptied everything out of the van, donated the water, the lot, everything we had. Some things were loose in the back, but I was gutted. I was pretty worried at this point, because I was dehydrating pretty fast, and it was making it worse, because knowing we didn't have any fluids on board, and you couldn't get to a shop or anything like that, and I couldn't leave the van. I lifted up a pair of trousers from the back of the van and threw them into the bag, and underneath them, luckily, was a small bottle of mineral water, and my God, that came rolling down the van towards me, and I heard choir singing as that was coming towards me. It was like a day of light. I grabbed that bottle, cracked it open, and told Becky, I goes, get a sip of this. Take sips of it, don't gulp it. You need to ration this bottle of water. We took some sips of water, refreshed ourselves, and stayed in the van. I was happy at that point, because I knew I was in this queue. There was only one van in front of us. All we had to do was get through this first checkpoint, and the process. Didn't know whether we was getting out that day or not, or whether they're going to just turn people away and close the borders. We just didn't know what was going to happen. That's the main time it made me think, I've really messed up here. We shouldn't be here, you know. But no, the process went ahead and we got through. We were directed to go onto the loading bay. They want to check the vehicle's weight from when it went in, when it went out. We got all the paperwork out, because you have to have paperwork on you when you're in cargo route for the weight of the vehicle, the fuel capacity, stuff like that, and to make sure you're not you're delivering things and not taking things out. I opened the van. A guard wanted to look in the back of the van, saw it was empty. Closed the van up. Process started getting in reverse. We had our passports checked and the vehicle logbook, which is important. You take that. It pointed me towards a little kiosk. There was a little port cabin with 2 rooms in it, with a divider in between. And I handed my documents to an eldish woman who was a customs officer, and there was a complication. She was unsure about the registration of the vehicle. The vehicle registration AJ12. She did not know whether the 1 was an I or a 1, basically. So she kept asking me. She couldn't speak English very well. She kept pointing to this number, saying, "I, is this an I?" I said, "No, 1." She said, "I, 1, I, 1." We kept repeating I and 1. I was trying to tell her 1, 1, 12, 1. She didn't understand it. I didn't know how to say 1 in Ukraine or I, and she couldn't understand the English whatsoever. She knew none. We kept saying I, 1, 1, I. She said 1, I said 1. She said 1, 1. It was quite funny, actually. She then ripped up her keyboard and pushed it towards the window and said, "I, 1." And I pressed the 1 button, and she took it away from me. I went good. And she continued processing the paperwork. She then handed me this paperwork, and I gave it to the next guy, knocked on his window. He took it off me. He was then processing more of the documents. I don't know why they weren't sat together, I don't know. He was then looking at my passport and processing the documents through. He asked me AJI, and I said 1. AJI, I said 1. This is 1. He didn't understand. He spoke to the woman in the another booth, spoke through the wall, and she shouted at him. I said to him, I said, "I'm sorry, I do not speak Ukraine. Do you speak English?" He then responded to me. He said, "Fuck." That's what he said to me. I instantly just said, "Oh, great, that's a great start." So that was a little bit of English language exchange there. And I looked at Becky. She was looking worried at this point because she knows I was panicking. She didn't want to go back in. So I had a laugh. I looked at her and she knew that things were okay. I was laughing. The woman in the cubicle behind him told him that it was a 1, basically, and he gave me the paperwork. We put it back in the van. I got back in the van, and she came out, and I think she got us through before the other guy. There was another guy in front of us, but she looked in the back of the van. She didn't really get out of her cubicle. She was supposed to remain there, the guard checking, but she got out and processed us through quickly. Go, go, go. We then got into the Oval Customs office. The Oval Customs office, it looked like a prison reception, something like that. We got in there, and this was where the long wait started, because we were in there the longest the night before. You have to wait for all the other people in there to process the paperwork. And in this office, you go from one window to the next window to the next window, and you're queuing behind these people. It wasn't full, but there was about 5 or 6 people in there. And the night before, when we arrived, there was probably about 3 people in there, and that took 2 hours. So with them been 5 or 6 people, I thought, we're going to be here for such a long time doing this. But we sat down. There was a Ukrainian soldier who was watching me the whole time. He was in the office, sat down like this, and he was watching me the whole time. And he knew that we were sat waiting. We looked patient. We didn't try and kick up a stink. He looked outside like this. He checked the van out, checked our van, and looked back inside at us. And he got up and picked up some paper and walked outside that office. And he turned and faced me. I looked at him and he said, "Come." So we followed him outside, and he opened the door and he went to check the van. He had a piece of paper on him, and he goes, open the van. He goes, "Oh, sorry." He says, This yours? I said, "Yes." And he had us open the van up. He checked inside. Didn't have much of a look, to be honest with you. He just shut the doors, ripped the paper, he goes, here, go. So handed me the paper back, and he went and had a fag. I went back in the customs office. He fast-tracked us through, basically. He saw who we were, and he fast-tracked us right through. He knew we were humanitarians, so they want us to get out and bring stuff back in, basically. He knew what's going on. So cut a long story short, we got out, got to the last checkpoint. There was a young soldier there, came up, we didn't know where to go, there's no signs or anything. And we approached this other soldier, got the window down. He smiled at us, he asked us for our paperwork. We handed to him the piece of paper that the guard gave us. He said, this is wrong. He goes, you need passport stamps. So we then realised that we've missed a checkpoint and we had to go back. So the guard, he was very accommodating, he just laughed about it. He said, no, he goes, leave van here, you walk to there, leave van here, walk to there. And I said, do we need to take the van? He goes, leave it here, it's fine. So he told us to leave the van there. It was in the middle of the road, and he said he'd watch the van for us till we got back. And I walked up to this other passport control, and they just stamped it, processed us through quickly, went back to our van there. And he was, they like to smoke, they're always smoking. And he was with a group of other young soldiers, they were all smoking. And Becky went over to him, he waved her over like this to check that paper had been stamped. And she held it up there, and he put his finger up like this and said okay, and pointed us the way to go through. And we got through there. They're so nice. I mean, the Ukrainian side, the soldiers, they're brilliant people. Yeah, so we got through to the Slovakian side then. The weather is absolutely blistering hot. We're on the Slovakian border. We've got through. It took a while to get through, but everything's good. And we're going to set off for a long drive home now. It's absolutely scorchio here. It's quiet as well as little drips of refugees coming through, but apart from that, it's pretty quiet.
And I can't see a damn thing because of the sun.
Yeah, so we're on our way home now.
Okay, so we're travelling through Slovakia. We've stopped and had a little bit of a drink of water, and I've changed my t-shirt, had a little wipe down because we both stink and we're shattered. We don't want to do as much driving as we did on the way here. It's a lot of driving, so I want to cut it down a little bit because there's no rush now to get home. And luckily Becky's brought her credit card with her, so we're going to try and stop over in a few places and see some of the sights while we're here, because we just want to forget about a few things what we've seen there and not go home with bad memories. Not that we've had bad memories, but what we're going to do is take a few pictures, take a few videos and show you some of the Europe while we're here. It would be rude just to blast home and end the whole journey like this, so we're going to take a look at Austria, take a look at Germany, probably stay a night there, and should see some good stuff for you. So thank you for your support, and we'll be in touch.
So this brings our mission to an end, not the journey to an end, but our mission to an end. And we would just like to take this opportunity again to thank each and every one of you for the incredible support we have had. We got this mission underway in around about a week, in under a week, and I did not expect that to happen. Just overnight we had some incredible donations and some massive support from all you people. I wish you all could have been there with us, but secretly you were all there with us. But it was made possible, not by us, by you, all of you. And I would like to thank some people as well who made some heavy donations. There was John Morris who made a massive donation there, and the people at Stouth in Sheffield who supported us, and they gave us all the logistics packaging.
I haven't actually been on these videos too much, just in the general passing, but I just want to say thank you as well. It's a great experience, one that I never thought that we would be able to achieve. It was kind of a bit of a pipe dream, so to speak, originally, but as Paul suggested, you know, thank you to everybody who's been involved, for all the supplies, for all the donations to get us there and back, and I think it's an experience we'll never forget.
Certainly is. And I would like to also thank my dad, who or I have thanked him actually, but he was the one who helped this mission go ahead. When our van broke down, it was literally end of days for us, because already we have spent most of that money on supplies rather than getting a hire van, because I trusted my van to take us over there. But we spent a lot of money, all that money on supplies, military kit, cold weather gear, fireman's kit, stuff like that, and a few medical supplies, as well as getting donations from people. And if it wasn't for him stepping in and buying us that van, I think we wouldn't have been doing this at all. So big thanks to my dad for stepping in and doing that.
And in terms of a recommendation, would I recommend people to go and actually do this? Yes, I would. I think it's a great experience. It's a difficult experience, emotional experience, as you've probably seen from some of the videos, but well worth doing. The people of Ukraine are amazing and robust, resilient, and let's just hope that that it comes to a good end for them.
Yeah, and we've taken a lot from this as well ourselves. We've not witnessed a lot of death and destruction, nothing like that, but we've seen people firsthand, desperate people but strong people, incredibly strong people, and that will remain in our hearts forever now. We really want to take away from there the Ukraine people experience, and we've certainly found that, and these people are well worth helping. They need to go on, and they need support. They need to set an example to the rest of the world.
And I think, just from my perspective, I think everybody in the world should really realise how lucky they actually are, because these people had a life, they had a future, and then it's all been taken away from them because of this, and we all should really think about how lucky we are as well.
Yeah. One thing I liked about them was their dry, swift sense of humour, how they defy logic and create a sense of humour whenever it comes, whenever there's danger around. We've not ended the series yet. We did take the Austrian route home, Austria and Germany, which to our knowledge now is the faster route to go home and the cheaper route to go home, as Czechoslovakia cost us a lot in fuel and time. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. Thank you.